the elder says another aspect of this, the implications of this departure from holy tradition, when the method of dialogue enters the area of faith, right? So people sit down and we're going to talk about it. We're going to figure it out. That's what happens in the ecumenical dialogue. It's what happens when we have speculative theology, academic theology. We become the judges of the faith. We become essentially the manipulators of the tradition. Like, we decide what's holy tradition, what's not, as opposed to just receiving it, right? You got to come under it. You've got to submit yourself to it. You can't sit in judgment of it. Oh, well, we're going to not this thing we do for the last 1,500 years. We're not going to do that because in the 4th century, they did this. No, it doesn't work that way. When the method of dialogue enters the area of faith, then the criterion of truth disappears. Everything becomes relative and negotiable, right? So dialogue means that we're going to work together to figure it out. We're going to bring it to the table, and you're going to search, and I'm going to search, because people in that kind of mentality, they don't actually think anybody has a holy tradition which conveys the truth. Everybody's just coming at it and hoping, to figure it out. That's what's going on in the realm of religious studies. That's a kind of, the perennialism is in some ways dominated by this. It's not necessarily perennialism in a strict sense, but there is in that speculative approach, right? Because it's necessarily speculative. Perennialism can't experience every holy tradition. It's not like, Schuon or Guénon didn't go and become a Hindu and then a Buddhist and then a Jew and then say, oh, I can speak from experience now, right? He's speculating from the writings of these various religions that this experience is all united. So inevitably, it's a kind of syncretism on an intellectual level, because they're taking it and they're examining it from one, and they're saying these things actually are all united. So it's very problematic in terms of epistemology. It's very foreign to an Orthodox epistemology about how to come to the truth, the knowledge of the truth. So that whole 20th century, 21st century, because it's born out of the apostate West, where there was no holy tradition anymore, right? So that's why people think it's given. We have a pluralistic society, and that's how you're going to find truth. You're going to find it by rationally, intellectually dialoguing, discussing, searching, taking pieces and putting it all together. There are people right now even coming to Orthodoxy and saying, well, yeah, I'm Orthodox, but look, I also like really I remember I read this text that, the Hindus have this thing and the Sufis have this. And I just I think it's all good. And, oh, really? Okay. Well, then you don't have any experience of Christ, because that's not how it works. That's not how Christ works. Christ, we did, in the gospel, did anybody come to Christ and say, you're a great teacher too? Because I've been searching and I've heard from the various religions of the world, and you're one of the great teachers of the world. And I want to become your disciple as I also examine and take from all the various religions of the world. Nobody approached Christ in 2,000 years in Christianity like that. And yet people do it today. They think Christ is one of many. It's delusional. Like, Christ didn't teach this. He doesn't want you to do this. And yet you want to say you're a disciple of Christ. So it all becomes relative and negotiable in this outlook, where holy tradition is thrown off.